My name is Ellie Santana. This is my third episode of my podcast here, Creating a Happy Life. And this time I have with me Don Cermak. Thank you so much, Don, for being here. It is such a pleasure. It was a it was really exciting to uh, hear you say yes and giving me this opportunity because um, you have been already such a mentor for me. So it was really exciting. Thank you so much for being
I'm
here.
super excited. And look what I wore in your honor, Ellie.
Your earrings.
My earrings.
Beautiful.
So here's what you don't know. These were my favorite, not these, but these were my favorite earrings for years. And I wore them on all the podcasts I did and I wore them all the time. And then I decided to clean them and they got ruined in the jewelry cleaner. And I was telling Ellie about this, God bless her. I was telling her about it. And she went and she found them on Poshmark and sent me a link, and I'm like, snatch those babies right up. And so I'm wearing them today frequently. But that's who Ellie is, right? I mean, for those of you who know her, that's who she is. And it's one of the things that I love about you so much, Ellie. I love your passion for helping people. Let me tell you a couple of the things I really love. I know, really and truly. I love your passion for knowledge and for learning and for constantly looking for ways to grow and constantly looking for ways to that by learning and growing yourself, you can help other people. I love that you and I speak the same language. I love that you can tell me, because when I asked you and we were talking about your coaching, right? And what you focus on, and you said one of the main things that you focus on is breaking through limiting beliefs and emotional addictions. And I love that terminology because then I started to think about it and then we started to talk about it, right? Like, what are emotional addictions? Like, well, what are emotional addictions? What, in your words, what are emotional addictions?
Well, emotional addictions are those emotional states that we rely on for everything. So it becomes our default state. And if that emotion is negative, unfortunately, we keep defaulting back to that negative state and we never break through.
But and here's the rest of the conversation we have, and I should say, and not but, there's a reason that we do that.
Right.
Because we who are defaulting to a negative emotional state, there's some kind of payoff for us. There's some kind of benefit for us for being the victim or there's a payoff. And most people go, how can there be a payoff for me being a victim? But there is. There often is. And as hard as that can be to hear and as hard as that can be to look at, oftentimes, like this is with your coaching, right? Oftentimes getting to that nut, right? Getting to really look at that and understanding that maybe by being a victim and being, oh, poor me, I have to do this, the martyr and the victim, it lets you off the hook for other things, maybe, right? Or what's another example?
Or it just seems like it's easier for you to overcome certain things when you are the victim. Then people look at you with validation and you get that validation from others.
Right.
That can be another benefit.
Right. So when we're in that state, that negative state, if you will, you know, in that emotion, even though it seems like it's a negative and why would you want to be there? If you're getting a payoff, if you're getting a benefit, even though it's a bad place to be, you keep going back there.
Exactly.
Right? And so Ellie's coaching is about breaking through emotional addictions, those ones, the bad ones, right? And about breaking through those limiting beliefs that are holding you back from living the life of your dreams. And this is another thing that we talked about, right, Ellie? The fact that a lot of us have limiting beliefs that are created by an event that happens when we're really little. And most of us probably don't even remember the event, right? I mean, it could be something very traumatic. It could have been something physically traumatic or mentally really traumatic. Or it could have been something as simple as your mom yelling at you for not taking care of your little sister and telling you you're not a good big sister, you're not a good person, or you're not dependable, or you're not responsible, or you're not, you're not good enough to be a big sister, or whatever it is. This event that happens could be huge, or it could be something that, like, not even worth remembering, except that it shaped the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And you didn't even know it until
And
you
something that is not necessarily true.
and
Because
it's something
with
that's
that
not.
example, I love that example because, I mean, as a mom, sometimes we say so many things that we don't mean. And then we might have forgot to just go back and apologize and clean the mess. And if we don't do that every single time, then our kids might absorb that whatever situation happened as a belief and install it and live by it, and it wasn't even true.
A belief of I'm not good enough.
Right.
I don't deserve to be happy. I'm not worthy of love. Like all these things that our poor little 3, 4, 5-year-old mind makes up about this thing that happened. And that's the baggage that we're carrying with us.
Mhm.
And that's what you have to break through in order to really get where you want to go and really and truly live the life of your dreams with 100% of your whole body and soul, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, I mean, but accept it or don't accept it. That's when I said, I love that Ellie speaks my language. I love that, we have those conversations. I love that she really and truly believes, as I do, that the most important thing to live the life of your dreams is to be so super clear about where you're going. Like this is the, you need to do the work. You need to get rid of the baggage. You need to clean that stuff up, right, Ellie? But you also need to know where you're going.
Right.
And you need to really, and that's not easy necessarily.
That's
There's
the
work to be
word.
done. There's work to be done to get really clear on where it is that you want to go. And the really and truly important thing is that clarity, right? Isn't that what you work with people on? Because the clarity of where you're going, it's not how to do it. It's not how to, if you're an entrepreneur, how to write a business plan. We call them the cursed hows, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not how, it's not the steps. It's clarity of vision. Be super clear about where you're going and then start taking steps in that direction. Because when you take those steps, a leap of faith or even a tiny tiptoe in the right direction, the universe will match you step for step. You get into action, you start heading for your dreams in any way you can, even if it's acting like it's already happening, right? Acting as if. That's one way to do it, acting as if. Another way to do it would be starting to do the learnings for something that maybe you think you want to do. So for me, one of the things I really want to do right now, my big dream, is to create a retreat center in Spain for women. So I can host women's retreats there and corporate retreats. And so I've been looking at real estate. I've been looking for a really long time, because here's the other thing. Your path is never going to be direct. Here,
Right.
it's not going to do this. So I always thought I knew where I wanted to go. I always thought I knew exactly what I was looking for, and I've been looking for it for a long time, and nothing's coming up, nothing's coming up, nothing's coming up. So maybe I wasn't ready, maybe it wasn't the time. Well, it wasn't the time, but I was still looking. And then I happened to read an article that said that Malaga, which is in the south of Spain, is the new Silicon Valley of the Mediterranean.
Mm.
Well,
Interesting.
my ears perked up, and I thought, okay, I can be open to not the part of Spain I thought I was going to, if this would mean it would be so much easier to fill my retreat center with corporations that are already, bringing people to the area and that kind of thing. So now I've started looking at real estate and looking at kind of, what's involved, and I need to go there. I need to go there and see exactly the different areas that I can be in. But you have to be open, because it may not look the way you think it's going to look. You may not be going to Barcelona, which is where I thought my retreat center was going to be, but it can still be your dream. It just maybe takes a little bit of a different flavor, or happens in a different place. But that if I didn't already have the idea of doing this, Malaga being the new Silicon Valley of the Mediterranean would have just gone right by me. Right.
And that is the importance of keeping in mind that flexibility, being flexible and being able to adapt to whatever the universe is offering to us. Because a lot of times we have a set plan in our minds, but maybe the universe has something better. And if we are just too focused on whatever it is that we wanted and how we wanted it and the date and all the specifics about it, then, like you said, it can, pass right by us and we wouldn't even notice it.
But when you have that clarity of vision, like you talked about, right? When you've done the work, when you have the clarity of vision, here's the other thing that happens. If you're really committed to your dream, if you're so excited and so passionate and it's what you want, you talk about it all the time.
Right.
People ask you what you're up to, and you say, well, so we'll use me, right? We'll say, I want to build a retreat center for women in Spain. Maybe I'll just say the Mediterranean, just in case something in Portugal or Italy comes up, right? It's my vision. I've hosted retreats for women. I hosted a women's retreat in Barcelona. I hosted one in Puerto Vallarta. I love doing it. I love the international aspect. I love bringing women and getting them connected with the local community. When we did our one in Barcelona, a little town called Sitges, south of Barcelona. My Barcelona bestie, I have a friend that lives in Barcelona, hooked us up with this amazing experience that we had. We went to this little town and met with the Castellers, which are this group that they build a human pyramids. Doesn't sound like anything. It's a really big deal. And the president of the association, which has like 1,500 members, hosted us for dinner. To be able to bring women to another country and have those kind of experiences, those really intimate, like connected with the local community experiences, that's what I love. And so that's what I'm building. And anybody who knows me knows it, because I talk about it all the time. I think about it all the time. I plan for it, right? And so the fact that I'm talking about it, and the fact that I'm thinking, and other people are hearing me, that it causes them to say, hey, I was just talking to somebody who was actually interested in international real estate. Do you want to talk to that person? Maybe they want to partner with you. Hey, I was just talking to a coach who was looking at building a retreat. How soon is your retreat center going to be open? Maybe she'll host a retreat at your retreat center. So you see what I mean? Like, when you're clear about your dream, again, you don't know the steps. I don't know all the steps right now. I don't know anything about purchasing real estate in Spain. I don't know, what legalities there are. I don't know about all those little pieces, but I know everything is figure outable if you're committed enough and passionate enough and are really going for what you want. And so I think that a lot of people get really hung up in the plan and maybe discard their dreams before they've even tried, because they don't think they're smart enough. They don't think they have the knowledge for the thing. They think it's too big.
Right.
And they can't get there.
They are trying to figure out exactly what you said just now, all the cursed how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And I personally think, and one of the things that I have learned in this journey is that it really is about finding the frequency of what you want. And that's where talking about it all the time becomes so important, because by talking about it, you just connect with the feeling of what you want. And
I mean,
so
I can tell you when I start talking about it, right?
you feel so
It's
excited,
oh
right?
my gosh, people say, "Oh my God, when you start talking about the coffee shop project, you light up."
Yes,
Like you're like it's an energy that you have when you talk about it. Like you're so passionate and so committed about it. I want to be part of it. They say, I want to be part of it. I want to be part of whatever that is that's making you so excited,
right.
right?
Hmm.
And if you don't feel that way about your dream or your vision or your um, what you think you want to do for the future, maybe take some time and look at it again.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, life is too short not to be happy. A. B. We spend so much of our time in our lives, in the week, in the month, in the year, working. Pick something that makes you happy. If you're going to spend 40 hours a week doing something, then shouldn't it be something that just lights you
Right.
up? Really and truly. I mean, whether it's, and it doesn't have to be as an entrepreneur necessarily, right? It doesn't have to be. You might find, I was talking to a young girl. She's young, just out of college, and she's at 24. And she graduated, she started doing something, it wasn't any good, and now she feels lost. And so she's depressed and she's frustrated, and she's like, I just got this degree and I don't know what to do, and I don't know where, I'm living at home because I'm trying to save money and trying to figure it all out. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What lights you up? What are you passionate
Right.
about? Social responsibility and sustainability is what she's passionate about. I said, okay. I said, well, it's really interesting. I said, my daughter-in-law actually works for a company who is, it's kind of like the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Chicago, if you will. She works there. Sweden is all about sustainability, right? It's one of their primary mandates, and social responsibility, right? I said, I'll reach out to my daughter-in-law and see if, there's maybe something there. Where else? Now we know. So, okay, now we got Sweden, right? Where else does that exist? Sustainability and social responsibility. She said, well, I know there's some programs at the UN. She said, and I know there's something, I don't remember, something that's down in DC. I said, well, we're going to see each other tomorrow. So by tomorrow, what will you have done? She said, because she said, I'm going to call him tomorrow. I said, are you? I said, because I'm going to ask you the next time I see you, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, did you call them?
Right.
She said, oh my God, thank you so much. She didn't say, what? Get out of my business. Who do you think you are? Because we just met. I don't know her from Adam. This is the first day I ever talked to her. Like, she's not a client of mine. It's just a conversation that we happen to have. She said, thank you so much. Thank you for caring about my
Exactly.
future and what I want. And I said, well, but that's what life's about. Like I was actually talking to Mike Dooley one day. I don't know if you know who Mike Dooley is. Anybody watching? Maybe
Yes.
not. Notes from the Universe. So I was on a trip with him to Peru. I'm in the back of the bus, and I'd sat down, and I said, I'm good. I'm doing good. I just need to figure out my purpose. He said, oh, that's a dirty word. I said, purpose is a dirty word? I like purpose. I like having a purpose. He said, your purpose is to be happy. Anything else is icing on the cake. And that has stuck with me. That was 12 years ago, 12 years ago, he said that to me. And I've remembered it since then. Your purpose is to be happy, and anything else that comes along, that icing on the cake, right? Well, what do you think, Ellie? What do you think about that?
I was just thinking that I posted something today on Facebook that goes hand in hand with that because I mean, and I was talking to a friend the other day and I was telling her how caught up we are in doing and finding out things and pursuing things and go behind the new trend and learning and doing all of these things. And we are simply forgetting to live.
Yeah.
And so today I posted something. I don't know if I'm going to remember exactly how I worded it, but it says if your only reason to live is to do something or be somebody, you're not living.
Mm.
You're not living because you are forgetting the very essence of life, which is connecting with yourself, getting to know yourself. I mean, people are just trying and trying and trying and doing, and all of that, a lot of times, comes from a place of despair and need and lack. That's not our essence.
And fear and
Yes,
anxiety and um and from comparing ourselves to other people.
exactly. Yes, that's a big one.
So
Yes,
one of my favorite sayings is comparison is the thief of joy. And
that's beautiful.
nothing could be truer, because if you're looking at everybody else, especially if you're doing it on Facebook, looking at everybody else's life, oh my God, she's got such a good life. Look, her kids are so great and her house is so beautiful and all that. You don't know what's really going on.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And that's very important because I am the kind of person, and I've always had this inquisitive mind. Ever since I was little, I remember people telling me, why do you think so much? Why do you go so deep into things? I don't know.
I
I've
know,
always
but
been like that. But
it's one of my favorite things about you. It is
thank
absolutely, it
you.
is. It truly is. It's one of my favorite things about you. Your curiosity, your passion for learning and finding out and exploring new things. I
Well,
think it's
and this is what I found out recently because I was following a couple people on Instagram. And there's one woman, Mel Robbins, that I love, and she's a huge mentor for me.
five, four,
And
three,
then
two, one, right?
yes,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
yes, and the high five on the mirror. I've been doing that for a couple of years. She's amazing. And so as I was scrolling on Instagram, I came across another woman, an advertisement, and it seemed very attractive in the beginning, like have the life that you want, manifest, and all these things that I believe and find interesting, right? So I went and followed her page, and then I started going through her posts and just see what she's about. And then I said, let me research a little bit about this woman because I'd never seen her around. And she has a portfolio right now that you would think it took her, a good 10 years to be where she's at right now. And so I got her name and I went on Google. But one thing that I don't do a lot of times is just stay on the first page of Google. When I do my research, I like to go and see multiple sources and really, research, not just see the first highlight that comes up. And so what I found is that this woman is not like she's not even posting about her life. She is a model for a company. And I found out that this is something that they are doing on Instagram where they hire somebody and they put this person in different scenarios, let's say a big house, an expensive car. They give them the clothing, anything that they need for them to pretend that they are living this beautiful life and sell it to you.
Hmm.
And quite probably they're making a lot of money out of that. But
Right,
that
probably.
specific life that they're showcasing on Instagram is not their life.
Mm.
And I was blown away. I said, oh my God, and how many people are following these influencers just thinking that they already did it.
And to a certain extent, not quite to that level, people are doing that on Facebook all the time.
Definitely.
Talking about, their great relationship when it's not. They're great kids, they're great business, they're like out there, oh, I have this great life, and it's not. But
Definitely.
they're doing it to try to maybe sell a product, or there's a reason that they're doing it, or
Yeah.
maybe it just makes them feel good to be that person. I don't know.
Let me tell you another thing that I have noticed people are doing nowadays that it's interesting. It's also concerning to a certain extent to me. Um, but we are seeing like what most people call an awakening ever since I would say 2012, 2008, around that time, right? And so it is very obvious that many people became interested in personal development, information, spiritual content, and all of that. And so those people that are seeing the market for that are just going out there saying, this is how you manifest. Buy my course. I'm going to teach you all the tips and tricks to get the life that you want. And it's shocking for me because again, that's not really the way. I mean, while everybody can choose their path and do it however they want, if what you are seeking deep inside is fulfillment, chasing and pursuing and getting more things is not going to get you there.
Yep, I
I
agree
mean,
100%.
and that's my own experience and the experience of millions of others that I've listened to. And it's just, the more that I go into spirituality and finding out about our essence, the more I confirm that there's something that just goes beyond this whole physical realm. And so, chasing and getting and buying can just not be the answer.
Not for true happiness.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. I love soul prints because it's like I might connect with your energy at one level and on one thing, and it might be something else completely different that resonates with someone else and attracts you to them, or vice versa, right? Well, I'm so honored that you asked me to be with you on your live. As you know, I'm so excited about your business that you've launched, and it's not like you didn't have anything else to do, right?
Right.
I mean, you have plenty on your plate,
I do.
and you walk the walk, Ellie. It's another thing that I really, really admire about you. You're not trying. You've been through a lot. You've had a lot of hardship. You've had a lot of struggles that you've overcome. And oh, this is another thing. You're open to creative solutions. You're
Oh, yeah.
not married to it just going one way, and I don't have the time, and so I'm just never going to have the time. And how am I going to make the time? What am I going to do to create more time in my life? What does that look like? Like, all being open to and being resourceful about taking those next steps forward so the universe can come in and go, high five, sister, let's roll, right?
Exactly. But that is one of the things that I learned with Tony Robbins. I mean, Tony Robbins, I think, has been my biggest mentor in this whole journey. And one of the things that he stresses a lot is change your mindset. You cannot change your life if you continue to think the same way forever. And at some point, I had to realize that I was living in a victim mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do? How do I get out of this? And I also wanted to get your opinion on that, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and it comes from Tony Robbins precisely, is the 80-20 principle, the 80-20 philosophy, mindset, rule. I mean, so many people call it so many different ways. Um, but it refers to the fact that 80% of the work is inside your mind, to then see those results in the outer life. And so tell me what you think about it.
So 80-20 is one way to look at it. Or there's an exercise that I've done a lot of personal growth work with a company called Sci Seminars, and there's an exercise called intention mechanism. So is it and it's something that we do during one of the weekends, and what comes out of this exercise is that, you know, they said how much, they start out before we do the exercise, how much of it, you know, getting to your goal, if you will, there was a particular goal in the exercise, but how much is intention and how much is mechanism? In other words, how much is your clear commitment to getting it done, and how much of it is knowing how to do it, or knowing the steps, or having the mechanism to get it done. And what resulted, I don't want to spoil anybody's experience of this, but what resulted, and people guess 50-50, 80-20, 90-10, 75-25, you know, there were a lot of different ideas and thoughts and reasons. And in the end, what came out was it was 100% intention. The mechanism, the knowing how, that wasn't what got you across the finish line. It was clear intention, 100%. And so I'm not arguing Tony Robbins 80-20. I'm not arguing that at all. What I'm doing is supporting with that exercise and with you know, the data from that, the importance of clear intention. And
Right.
that's going to get you way further than taking a course on X, whatever X is. Now it's important, you know, it's very interesting. So, you know, I'm gonna do this quick, and then we might have to wrap it up, Ellie. I don't know how much time we have, but I think we've been talking for a while. You know, for female entrepreneurs. So I've been an entrepreneur for 34 years. I am currently building businesses 9, 10, and 11, and it's been quite a journey. And I have had, so I'm not saying learning's not important. I've had to learn a lot to get where I am today. I had to learn accounting. I had to learn taxes. Like, I had to learn a lot about taxes in order, and it's not just, you know, you know me, I can talk for a whole hour on this. It's not just hiring an accountant and having them do it. It's understanding what it is that your business needs to do tax wise. Right. You have to learn, for all of us now who are in business for ourselves, we have to learn social media marketing, because unless you have a benefactor or an angel investor behind you as an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to do all these things for yourself. And then potentially, fingers crossed, or, you know, once you start making money, then you can outsource some of those things. And I always tell, I'm a business coach, I always tell female entrepreneurs, listen, figure out what your zone of genius is. Get super clear on what that zone of genius is. And then the more time you can spend there, the more money you will make. So the faster you can get to spending the time in your zone of genius and outsourcing the social media, if that's not your thing. Some people, that's their thing. Outsourcing the accounting with an understanding of what you're doing. Outsourcing, you know, whatever it is. If you've got employees, outsourcing the HR, outsourcing, so that you can stay in your zone of genius, because that's where the money is going to come in. And it's where you're going to be the happiest, because you're doing what you love. And it doesn't even feel like work, because when you're in your zone of genius, so there's a bunch of zones, right? If you read The Big Leap, it's called The Big Leap. And He talks about your zone of genius. A lot of people don't know what their zone of genius is. They think there's there's zones of competence, there's zones of excellence, and then there's zones of genius. And he makes a distinction. It's a really good book. It's not a long read. I highly recommend it, because it helps you really get to figuring out what your zone of genius is. For a lot of people, they don't even recognize it as a superpower because it comes so naturally to them. It doesn't feel like a big deal until they look around and figure out nobody else does this the way that I do it, and nobody else does this as well as I do it. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe this is a superpower. It doesn't feel like one, but maybe it is, right? And that's a big thing. You know, if you're trying to help people live their dream life and get to where they're going, you need to help identify what their superpower is, I think. But I think a lot of things, and I could talk forever.
Totally. Now, really. There's one thing that I want to know from you, because I think it's super important to bring that up to so many people that are currently trying to develop something or finding what their passion is, because today they see you here, the successful woman, the woman that already did it, the woman that already figured everything out, and she's living the fruit of all that work, right? Yeah. Now, if I take you back to your very beginnings.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what I want to know, because I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing that beginnings are rough sometimes, and you don't have to know everything. As a matter of fact, you will not know everything in the beginning, and you can still succeed. So how can you summarize a little bit about what your beginning was like?
It was hard. It was really hard. First of all, 34 years ago, there was no internet. There was no, let me just go Google this and find out how to do it. It was, let me go to the library. Let me find somebody who can help me. Let me find an expert. Let me find a book. There was no internet when we started. And when I incorporated my first business with my sister, I was 3 months pregnant with my first child. So our first event that we did, the first company I had was a special event company. The first real paying event that we did, I was actually in the hospital in labor.
Wow.
And my husband was there with me, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do? What can I do? I said, can you run to the garden store and get some Spanish moss for the urns for the Rick's Casablanca set that we're building? That would be a really big help right now. He said, you want me to leave? I said, yeah, this needs to get done. And I was supposed to do it, and now I'm here in the hospital, but I said I would do it, so can you go get the Spanish moss? He's like, that's really what you want me to do right now? I said, yeah, I'm going to be here for a while. It's fine. Yeah.
No big deal.
That's how it started, and that's how it was for many, many years. So I had 3 little kids, right? I was probably working 80 or 90 hours a week. I was on call 24/7 because it was mine and my sister. We owned the business together. I would get a call. I'd be at a swim meet watching my kids swim, and I'd get a call saying, hey, our truck just broke down in New Jersey. Can you come get us? Or I'd get a call at midnight saying, half of our breakdown crew isn't showing up. Can you be, down in Washington, D.C. and at the Italian embassy and help us break down the event down there? And I said, when? And get in your car right now. I'll tell you a funny story. If you're ready for a funny, you want to hear? This is how it really is, right? So I had my second son. He was 3 weeks old. I was nursing him, and I got that call. We are dead on our feet. We've been working 40 hours straight, and this job has to come down. It was a big job for L'Oreal, and it was about an hour and 15 minutes from home. I said, okay, I can come, but I have to be home by 6 a.m. because I have to nurse the baby. This was not a made up deadline. I have to be home by 6 a.m. right? So I go down, I, break down the party, help them load the truck. And the guy that was supposed to drive the truck looked at me. He said, I can't drive the truck. He said, I haven't slept in 40 hours. I can't drive the truck. You know what I said? Move over, because I have a baby at home that needs me. So he said, do you know how to drive this truck? I said, no, but I'm about to learn.
That is so you. I can totally see you doing that.
I mean, it wasn't a 4-gram truck. It was a 24-foot truck.
Wow.
I said, move over. And I got it all the way to my neighborhood. I said, come on, you got to wake up now, because I cannot drive this truck through my neighborhood. I got that far, and I got home.
So what I get from that is,
Ellie.
so to all of those women out there that are moms and maybe single moms, I mean, just being a mom, single or not, it's already a full-time job.
Sure.
And if you, on top of that, if you have a full-time job, I mean, it already becomes a lot. And then you're also trying to develop your own thing. I mean, it is definitely a lot. It can be overwhelming at times. It's very stressful at times. You have to figure out all of these and learn. And I mean, it's a lot of hours and a lot of effort that you have to put into that. Now, you have to know that and know that it's going to be hard and not be afraid.
Yep.
And just do it.
So I would come home at dinner time, cook dinner, feed my kids dinner, do their homework with them, read them some books, put them to bed, and then I would drive back to the warehouse, because I ran the second shift at the warehouse, and I'd be there from like 10 to 2. And then I'd come home and get home and pick up juice boxes on the way home, because we'd be out of juice boxes. Oh, there's Jean. Hey, Jean. We'd be out of juice boxes or whatever it was, and be home in time to get them up and get them on the bus, and then go back to work and do it all over again. But that's what it took,
Right.
There wasn't a lot of sleep happening necessarily, which wasn't necessarily the best for my health, as we all know now. But you did what you had to do.
Exactly. And back then, what would you say was the narrative in your mind that helped you stay focused and determined to succeed
Well, I'll
in
tell you
your
one of
business?
my narratives. This wasn't a positive one necessarily, but one of my narratives, I would leave the house every morning, Ellie, and any female entrepreneur, this is going to resonate. I would leave the house every morning and I would say, I have got to figure out how to spend more time at home. I've just got to figure out how to spend more time at home. Like, the bathroom is dirty, and there's laundry's not done, and the kids need, I've got to figure out how to spend more time at home. And then I would get to the office, and there'd be a line at my door of people that needed to talk to me, or decisions made or whatever. And I'd think to myself, I have got to figure out how to spend more time at the office. I've just got to figure out how to spend more time at the office. I mean, and I never felt like I was doing either thing well. So that was the negative narrative, right? Fortunately, I was in business with my sister, who's a powerhouse. She's amazing. I have so much respect for her, and she's a combination of creativity and business mind that you don't see very often. She's a design genius. Like, she's amazing. Well, I was in business with her, and somehow it's like when the sum is greater than the whole of its parts. It was like that. Together, we created something really amazing. And that's actually what fueled me. It was the pride in what we created from nothing. Literally from nothing, and grew it to be a really big company. I mean, when we sold it the first time, that's a whole other story for another day. We had 150 employees, which from nothing, right? That wasn't so bad. I didn't think it was so bad. I mean,
No, not at
but again, no
all. I mean,
comparison's the thief of joy. I'm sure there was another woman out there who started a company and had 150,000 employees, Ellie. So I could either be jealous of her, or I could be really proud of what I created, what my sister
right. And
created
I
together.
think that's when we have to define what success means for everyone, because it has a different meaning for everybody. I mean, for some people, success will be only when they get to the millionaire status or when they get the house or whatever. For me, success is any time that I'm able to create something that fulfills me.
Exactly.
And
Big
so
or
it's
small.
really
Big
important
or
to
small, right?
exactly. And another thing that you said, about the narrative in the mind that, and you said, and maybe it wasn't a very positive one. And I remember that in the last interview, I was mentioning to Chris that in one interview that Sofia Vergara had, she said that they asked her, why did you, what is your motivation behind becoming successful? And she said, I don't want to be poor. And a lot of people would say, well, that shouldn't be your motivation or whatever, but that's what motivated her.
There's
And
nothing
sure
wrong with
enough,
that.
it got her to where she is today. So it's different for everybody. I mean, and that's also when we have to discern what we pay attention to and what advices we are going to allow from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you and only you know exactly what works for you.
That's right. Well, you don't always know. Sometimes it's trial and error to figure out what works for you, right?
Right, right. It's always a process, definitely. So tell me
Wow,
one
we
more thing.
covered what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, because I want to make that comparison between the you that didn't know everything that she was going to encounter in the way and the you today. So, talk to me about your mindset today.
You wouldn't even recognize me then. I was I was not very confident. I was insecure. I dreaded public speaking. Dreaded it.
Mm.
Like I was like the wizard behind the curtain. That was my role. I didn't like center
Wow.
stage. I did not like I like to get things done. I like to make it all happen, but I did not need to be the person out in front. In fact, I was scared to death of it, right? And today, I mean, I do podcasts, I lead retreats, I'm up on stage, I've been on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people, like so different. And I credit being an entrepreneur, stepping into doing what had to be done, right? And a lot of it was my commitment to my sister and our commitment to each other and the commitment to the company and to the employees, doing what had to be done, because that's one of my, I'm an oldest of six, so dependability and responsibility are core values for
Mm-hmm.
me. And learned so much along the way and grew into the person I was always meant to be.
Mm.
But if I hadn't chosen that path, becoming an entrepreneur specifically, if I had remained an employee who maybe wasn't necessarily pushed or challenged in the way an entrepreneur is challenged, I don't know if I would have become who I am today.
So it was at some point it was a decision that you had to take, and just stay committed to that, and stay committed to become that other version of yourself that you knew you could create. And I think
And
that,
it's, go ahead.
yeah, I think that's super important too, because a lot of times people, a big question that I get is, I want to find my purpose. I want to know why I am on this earth. And the answer to that is, your purpose is whatever you make it be.
Mm.
there's not only that one choice that people are looking for. You know, you want to be an entrepreneur next year, do it. And if after that, you know, that interest fades away and you want to become something else, then just go after that something else. Why do you have to box yourself in that one option, in that one choice when we are so infinite? And so I mean, I think it's so important to reflect that maybe there's so many truths out there that we're not considering, right? I mean, there's so much more than we have been told. And so take a decision, become that next version of yourself that you want to experience yourself as, experience it for a while. I mean, if it brings fulfillment and you want to stay, and if that is getting the job of your dreams, then do that. You don't have to become an entrepreneur. You don't have to become a house owner. You don't have to become a millionaire if that's not the calling from your soul. Maybe
But
you want to experience yourself in that way, but maybe not.
either way, if you want to get there quicker, get yourself a mindset coach. It's what all
Definitely.
successful people will tell you is they got themselves a mindset coach. They'll tell you, like a lot of successful people, you'll find out, for those of you who are like, meditate, oh. Most successful people meditate every day. It's one of the things. They have not just one coach, they have numerous coaches, most successful people. They're not afraid to ask for help. They know what they don't know, and they find an expert to fill it in for them, right?
Right. I mean, I was just hearing about Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has 6 coaches.
That's right.
And Tony Robbins is this billionaire guy that
He's the
goes on
coach of
stage, and
coaches, right?
I mean he's read probably thousands of books at this point. He spent hours and hours and hours in you know, learning new things, and he has 6 coaches for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I mean, I think that says a lot. And I think that as you were talking, I was reflecting about myself, and I was about to tell you the same thing. If you would have met me 10 years ago, I would be unrecognizable today. But
That's
the
because
hardest,
it's because you've done the work.
exactly, the
You're
hardest part of the journey
growing.
has been in my mind,
Yep.
in my mind. And so that leads me to the last question that I had for you, because I wanted to create this link between these actions that we are taking in this physical realm, you know, becoming an entrepreneur, getting the job, doing, with spirituality. You know, because we cannot forget that we are spiritual beings. And so, how important do you think it is to nurture that spiritual aspect of ourselves in order to get to where we want to be in this life?
Critically important. And what I would add to that is I've actually had businesses that when it got to a point where I felt like they weren't feeding my soul, they weren't filling my cup, I didn't feel like I was doing good work out in the world. I felt, you know, I started to look at what was next for me, because I think that's the most important thing. You want what you're doing to feed your soul. You want to feel good about the impact that you're making on the world. You want to feel good about it's not about money.
Exactly.
Being an entrepreneur lets us, yes, control our time. It lets us do a lot of things. It also demands a lot of things from us that you may or may not be willing to deliver, right? But at the end of the day, it lets us pursue our passions and really step into being of service to the world,
Exactly.
if that's your thing.
I don't think you could have said that in a more beautiful way. I mean, that was so perfect, so beautiful. It is definitely about fulfillment. I remember, and I'm going to try and paraphrase this because I don't have it memorized, but Jim Carrey said something along these lines. I hope that everybody gets the money and fame that they want so they can see that that's what it's not about. That is, it's just not about money and fame. I mean, and somebody else said, I wish you get all the money and fame that you want so you can see how your problems multiply.
Yeah. Right.
Because money doesn't do anything but to enhance what you already are. So if you are a person that wants to bring your light to the world, the money is going to help you do that. But if you are a person carrying a lot of wounds and negativity, money is just going to enhance that in you. So money is definitely not the answer for happiness as people are believing it is. So it's not find the money so you're finally happy. You have to do the internal work and nurture that spiritual aspect of yourself to find fulfillment first. So then you can enjoy all the experiences that money can bring you.
That's right. Because money's not evil. And making lots of money isn't evil. You know, if you want to go do good in the world, a lot of times doing good requires resources.
Exactly.
So the more, if you're that person, the more money you can make in your job or in your business, the more you can impact the world. So money's not
Exactly.
evil. Making a lot of money is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's what you
Right.
do with it.
What you
I mean, you know,
do with it.
yeah.
I mean, I've heard people say, if I had all the money that I want, then I would buy, like I remember this guy on Instagram a few years ago. He said he would buy, I don't know how many cars he was talking about, hundreds of collective, cars and so what I'm saying is you can see how people sometimes don't have the best interest of the world in their mind. They just want to acquire more, get more. And if that's the way you want to live your life, then that's the way. But there's also ways to live your life when you're contributing to the world. And I personally think that's where fulfillment lies, when you are also
Well, there's,
giving.
is it have, do, be? If I had a lot of money, I would do all these things and I would be happy. Or is it be, do, have?
Mm,
I'm going to be happy in the moment with what I have. I'm going to do
exactly.
good in the world and I will
Exactly.
have, do, be, or be, do, have.
We do have. Definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely.
That's what I said. I know I love talking to you. We speak the same language.
I
And
really, I really love that.
anybody who works with you would be lucky to have you on their side.
Thank you so much.
Truly.
Thank you. Well, I was super excited about this conversation. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Like I said, meeting you has really been a blessing. I am so honored to have you. And just in this short time, I was reflecting the other day, wow, I've learned already so many things from you. So, of course, I hope that, we can continue having that friendship and looking forward to that. So, thank you so much for the time. I hope you had a good time.
I had a very good time. I was really excited to do this with you. I've been looking forward to it all day.
Awesome.
And now I have to go back and get a flight booked to Greece. We're trying to go to Greece and we're trying to get, I don't even know how many of us are going. So I've got a little trip to Greece to plan. That's next on my agenda.
Oh, that's great. Well, you have to tell me about that
I
later.
will.
All right. And I will see you next month. Thank you, everybody who joined. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
And you all have a good night.